The Vicula Harbourside Bar and Restaurant has only been an established business for just under 1 year now, but could already face an uncertain future after being fined £20,000 for having some benches put up outside of the property. The landlord put in for retrospective planning permission for the benches, but it was already too late.
I installed the furniture last year, was told halfway through that process by the council that actually that furniture needed planning permission. And at that point we put in an application for retrospective planning permission to be granted the use of the furniture. That went through its usual process and got heard a couple of times before eventually being rejected in around May of last year. So we waited around a month for Gosport Council to send the paperwork through to us to enable us to appeal that decision to the Planning Inspectorate. And I did that around June or July time, and that was eventually validated in August. However, what I hadn't realised in the meantime was Gosport Council had also issued us with an enforcement notice requiring us to take that furniture down within 28 days. Being a bar owner, I didn't realise this, and I'd only appealed one side of that paperwork, and unfortunately we then were in a position where we hadn't complied with that enforcement notice.
After a mix-up with the various forms that were sent his way, Ben found himself having missed a crucial detail.
They sent me an email saying you're now in breach of an enforcement notice, and I replied to them saying, well, I'm not actually. I've appealed that and it's currently being heard, and I'd received a validation email from the Planning Inspectorate saying your appeal is valid and it's currently being investigated. At that point they sent me an email back saying, well, actually we know that you've appealed the actual planning decision, but you haven't appealed the enforcement notice. And I said it then at that stage, well, obviously this is an oversight. You can see that I've appealed one part. You know, can you just hold this off until that decision is made from the Planning Inspectorate? And if at that stage I don't get permission, obviously I can take the furniture down. And if I do get permission, then that enforcement notice is cancelled anyway.
I reached out to the local council for comment on the matter, and Councillor Hook provided me with this statement. The council refused planning permission for this large amount of outside seating, accommodating about 150 people, because of the noise and disturbance that would be suffered by nearby residents and because it was out of keeping in this historic area. The company ignored this decision, and we've had many complaints from people living nearby. The size of the fine in this case shows that the courts take it very seriously when planning decisions taken on behalf of the community are ignored. Being such a new business, this fine could see the end of the Harbourside Bar almost as soon as it has started.
Now I have to find £20,000 to pay it. In a business that's in its first year of trading, to find £20,000 in cash is nigh on impossible. 50% of businesses fail in their first year, and 80% have failed within their first 3 years, and being copped with almost £23,000 in costs. It's going to be touch or go whether or not we can actually make it through this.
The inspector being sent by the council is still due to assess the situation at the pub, but after court proceedings on Friday, Ben has already removed the benches. Whether it was a mistake or the ignoring of a council decision, the future of this local pub remains uncertain. Adam Gocher for That's TV.